Hero. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 21 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. All I got to say, Robin, is Harry Ackerson must be a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, Harry Ackerson must be a good-looking guy. I mean, I think his stepmother is coming on to him. What? What did I say? Yeah, I think so. But don't worry, his father's gone, so maybe it's not so bad. This is a hot book, huh? It's called All the Beautiful Lies. It is written by our guest, Peter Swanson, and Peter is an award-winning best-selling author, and he's getting really great reviews on Amazon for this one, and we've only got a short period of time to talk about it. Let's get him on the air. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Who's Harry Ackerman? Ackerson. Who is Harry?
Ackerson. He's a recent college graduate, and his dad has just died, and he moves home with his stepmother, who he doesn't know that well.
She's hottie, isn't she?
And while she's about halfway in age between his father and himself. So he'd first met her when he was 18, and he's an 18-year-old kid, so he had some kind of weird feelings about her.
Inappropriate, but still unavoidable.
Inappropriate,
right?
And now he's living with her, and his dad is dead, and it's complicated by her, but also by this other woman who's shown up in town.
Yes.
Turns out his father had a secret life.
Yes.
And maybe his death was not so accidental after all.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, this is a hot book. How did you stand writing this one? I would have been walking around the room every paragraph. I'd get up and walk around, get a tissue, dry my hair.
Well, I live in Boston, so it's never that warm here.
Okay. So tell me about the storyline. Was there something that sparked this idea, or was it one of those that kind of built itself?
It kind of built itself. I mean, I always come up with a premise, and the premise was this, what happens, your father dies and you discover he has a secret life, and then that life is kind of closing in on you. That was sort of the original idea. And then, as I wrote it, I decided to write about the past of Alice Moss. She's the stepmother. So this is kind of a book that has a split narrative. So you learn about Harry in the present, and then you learn about Alice in the past, and how those two storylines come together.
And then you have Grace.
And then you have Grace, who is the wrench in the machinery, as they say. So she comes up and turns everything topsy-turvy.
Oh, my!
But don't get too attached to any of these characters, because you don't know if they'll last throughout the whole book.
Well, and that's the problem, isn't it? When you write a character, I mean, how do you, as the author, I mean, if something is if a character is well received, you won't know until after you've either decided to kill them off or not.
Yeah, I think your job as a writer is just, to think about the story and to actually, in a weird way, be hard on your characters. Because you're telling a story. You're not, this isn't real life where you want you want to be seeing them in their hardest moment of their life, the most crucial moment. So you want to throw stuff at them. And in fact, with your main character, I always think, you want to take away what they love the most. And that's where you should start with your character.
And how was his
cruelty?
But how was his relationship with his dad? Or is that too much to give away?
No, I think his dad is, this incredibly important figure for him. Partly because they're in he'd lost his mother, and it was his last living relative. But it's more that then he discovers all this past stuff about his dad, and his life gets thrown into this topsy-turvy world. And he's a young guy. He doesn't, it's hard to deal with.
Is the use of the word beautiful in the title, The Beautiful Lies, is the use of the word beautiful contrary, or is it kind of like the song by Fleetwood Mac, Tell Me, like you want to be told lies? What was that song by Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah, I mean, I think of it. There's definitely a lot of lying in the book, but where I really think the title comes from, in fact, it's mentioned by a character, is it's about self-delusion and the lies you tell yourself. So what I'm always interested in a book is, like, I like to write the villains. I like to write the murderers and the sociopaths, and I like to remember that they tell themselves their own story. I mean, we're all narrating our own story, right? And we're the hero of our story. So that's the same with the villains. And sometimes I think you tell yourself lies, and they might be beautiful lies, and, the kind of lies that make you feel good about your life.
Wow,
that's kind of what the book's about.
It's a really great title. I don't know if you've been told that yet. I just think this is an awesome title.
Thank you.
Because it says it brings questions up, like, what is a beautiful lie? And is it the lie you want to hear, and you're okay with acknowledging that you don't even believe it, or what?
You truly run the gamut for your stories, because you go from Ian Fleming to Isaac Asimov, and they're like two separate veins of writing.
In terms of stuff that I love to read, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, no, the one thing I like is I definitely like mysterious stuff, but I read all over. Ian Fleming was, when I was 11 years old, my dad had all these James Bond books, and I got really into those when I was a kid, before I even understood half of what was happening in them, but, I loved them. And I like that type of story where there's a sort of a clear hero who saves the day, but I also like what I think of as psychological suspense, which is where a lot more characters fall into the gray area. That's kind of what I like too.
But you also wear another hat, that of a poet.
I do, although I'm not writing as much poetry these days. I think I've discovered I like novel writing more, and I also it pays better, but because poetry pays nothing, and unless as far as I know, I mean, I'm not sure there are too many rich poets out there, but yeah, I used to love writing poetry, and I occasionally write a poem. I like any kind of writing, but as soon as I started writing novels, and it was kind of late in my life, it was in my 30s. I was like, this is what I want to do. I love telling that long story.
The book just came out a couple of days ago, and it's already doing really well on Amazon. It's number 44 in the psychological thriller category. That's pretty impressive, considering it just came out 2 days ago. I have a copy.
Yeah, that's great.
I have a copy of All the Beautiful Lies. If you, as a listener, would like the one that was sent to me, call me. I'll leave it on the desk here, and you can, in the closet, I should say. We don't leave it on the desk anymore because they disappear.
Okay.
The rest of us have to go buy it. I did find it on Amazon. Peter, do you have a website you want to recommend?
Yeah, you can go to my website, which is peter-swanson.com, and that has all the links. It has links to my social media, but also where you can buy the book.
Congratulations on this. This looks like a big hit for you. Thank you for being on the air to share that with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We will be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. On this Thursday, a nice day with intervals of clouds and sun and a high of 77 to 81. Partly cloudy Thursday night, lows ranging from 54 in the northern interior part of the zone to 66 along the coast in the south. It'll be partly to mostly sunny on Friday, just a shower chance near the coast, the high 80 at the coast, 86 inland. Saturday, sunshine, some clouds, breezy and warm, high 81 at the coast, 90 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The U.S. trade deficit keeps climbing, reaching its highest level since 2008 for February. This is China and the U.S. trade escalating tariffs ahead of a trip to West Virginia. The Trump administration suggesting
the White House may be able to negotiate its way to a more favorable trade deal with China. Trade is going to be one of the issues at the top of the agenda when the president travels to White Sulphur Springs to give a speech on tax reform today. He'll talk about tax reform. He'll also talk about his efforts to level the playing field in the next 9 months.
Fox's John Roberts. Goodyear motorhome tires may have caused crashes that killed or injured 95 people in the past 2 decades. This according to allegations received by the government's road safety agency. And an infant is dead after being left in a hot car for hours in South Carolina. Police saying the father reportedly forgot to drop the child off at daycare. Fox News, we report, you decide.
When you're hiring, you don't want to waste time sorting through dozens of irrelevant resumes. You want an efficient way to get to a short list of qualified candidates. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes. Set up screener questions based on your job requirements. Then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. Discover why 3 million businesses use Indeed for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. Search for greatness. Search Indeed.
You don't remember days, you remember moments. But when the old tapes and photos that hold your cherished memories degrade, or worse, you lose them, they're gone forever. Hi, I'm Nick Mako.
And I'm Adam Baselogger. We started Legacy Box to help you preserve those irreplaceable moments.
Load your Legacy Box with your old tapes, film, pictures, and audio, and send them in. You'll get them back on DVD or a convenient thumb drive.
Visit legacybox.com/USA. And for a limited time, you'll get 40% off your order. legacybox.com/USA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident on this Thursday, a nice day with intervals of clouds and sun and a high of 77 to 81. Partly cloudy Thursday night, lows ranging from 54 in the northern interior part of the zone to 66 along the coast in the south. It'll be partly to mostly sunny on Friday, just a shower chance near the coast, the high 80 at the coast, 86 inland. Saturday, sunshine, some clouds, breezy and warm, high 81 at the coast, 90 inland. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Here are today's headlines from the source, WOCA. An errant spit may have sparked a deadly road rage incident yesterday afternoon in Tampa.
There was a road rage incident that started at the intersection of Fowler and 275, and the truck where the injured man who died, it stopped at 109th and Ashley. Right now we're looking for a black BMW.
Eddie Durkin with Tampa Police says 56-year-old Gilbert Cerna was rushed to the hospital where he died. Investigators say Cerna was stabbed in the heart by the driver of a BMW after spitting out of the passenger window at an intersection, hitting either the BMW or the driver. Governor Rick Scott and the all-Republican State Clemency Board yesterday appealed a federal judge's order that Florida's felon voting rights restoration process be overhauled by April 26. The process includes a 5-year waiting period before felons who have already served their sentences can petition the board to reinstate their voting rights. In a sweeping ruling last month, U.S. District Court Judge Mark Walker declared the scheme fatally flawed because, he wrote, it arbitrarily determines which of Florida's 1.5 million disenfranchised felons are allowed to vote. But in their motion to the Atlanta-based 11th Circuit Court of Appeal, Scott and the Clemency Board assert Florida has a right to set the parameters of felon rights restoration, including mandating a waiting period. Such discretion is critical to preserving the autonomy of the states in our federal system, the appeal argues. The reaction to the appeal, which was crafted without a public meeting of the Clemency Board to discuss a path forward in the wake of Judge Walker's ruling, was swift and biting. Scott has said felons should be required to prove they're capable of living a crime-free life before being allowed to regain the right to vote. A small plane crashed just after takeoff yesterday morning from Daytona Beach International Airport, killing an Embry-Riddle student pilot and FAA instructor. The Piper PA-28 plane went down at Tomoka Farms Road and Bellevue Avenue, confirmed Volusia County Sheriff's deputies who were called out just before 11 a.m. by witnesses who saw the plane go down. The Daytona Flea and Farmers Market, Daytona International Speedway, and Interstate 95 are nearby. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University President P. Barry Butler confirmed in a statement that a student pilot and passenger, a Federal Aviation Administrator pilot examiner, died in the crash. The identities of the two people aboard have not been released. Embry-Riddle said it is one of the school's Piper training planes. The NTSB and the FAA are investigating the crash. Embry-Riddle is working with authorities. The urn has been returned. A few weeks ago, robbers took an urn containing the remains of Lakeland police officer Buddy Newsom. Now, Polk County deputies have arrested Daniel Cordona of Honduras, who lived in Miami. Detectives found some stolen items in his car, including the small urn. Newsom's widow, Michelle, says it's a miracle.
I knew God was in control. I also knew that Sheriff Grady Judd was in control, and his deputies in the Polk County Sheriff's Office. I knew, and I had every belief that we were going to get this back.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says Cordona was part of a burglary ring in which Cordona used a rental car to burglarize upscale homes all over the state. Florida Tax Watch has issued its annual turkey report. Researcher Kurt Wenner says these are hometown projects that ended up in the state budget without proper vetting.